Now that I think, although my clock hasn't struck, I believe it is 7 o'clock, and here we gather on the 29th of August, and it falls to me to get the pleasure of giving you all a very warm welcome to this gathering of the religious society called Glasgow Unitarian Church. Now, August, we started on the 1st of August with a Sunday, and if one has a Sunday on the 1st of the month, there's a very good chance, even in a leap year in the month of February, a very good chance that it's going to be a 5-Sunday month. And one of the joys of being involved with Glasgow's Unitarians is that we have services by Zoom on the 1st Sunday, on the 3rd Sunday, and if there is a 5th Sunday, we do something different, something special. And tonight, on this 5th Sunday of the month, we have something special because Barry is going to be leading this as an engagement opportunity, discussing religious and spiritual engagement in the 21st century. And I, as a fellow, as I pointed out, from the 19th century, am not the right one to describe what Barry is going to be discussing with you. He's given us a briefing note, which you've all been able to read before coming tonight. But enough of what I have to say, except a warm welcome to everyone. And now over to Barry Bell.
Thank you, Roddy. It's very kind of you. Right, let's get started with the meat of this engagement session, which is, as Roddy has reminded you, this is one of our 5th Sunday of the month sessions, which means it's not a normal Sunday service format. Instead, it's a session in which I hope for significant engagement on your part with what I've got to bring you on the subject of, and again, Roddy's beating me to it, religious and spiritual engagement in the 21st century. And I've got here in brackets something I intended to say which would help maybe make you laugh. How pompous can I get? It does sound rather grand. Here's how I described it in August's News and Views, the monthly magazine of Glasgow Unitarian Church. This will be an engagement session which introduces and enables congregational engagement with the GA promoted Leading Change in the Congregation seminars based upon the book of the same name by Gil Rendle. It was recently engaged with 5 members of this spiritual and religious community, along with around 50 other potential and actual leaders from Unitarian congregations around Britain. There were some very differing perspectives identified, both by individuals and by entire Unitarian communities represented. And there were even some very clear differences between individuals attending from the same community, some of whom did, at times, seem to have read an entirely different book from the one I'd engaged with. But there was also some clear agreement between most who attended of certain key elements. Since these same differences apply significantly to the 5 of us attending from Glasgow, you're going to need to think of what I say as Barry's personal take on the book and on the sessions which I engaged with other people from the Unitarian movement with. I'm going to focus tonight simply on the broad picture of why change may be needed, not go into any of the details of how we might decide to try to proceed with looking at change and leading change. And I look forward to engaging with you after, but I'm going to have a little music first to set the scene. And to remind us of how someone else, Bob Dylan, sought to create awareness of living through a time of significant change. I've deliberately chosen a version of his song which includes singing in harmony, as this ties in with a point made by Gil Rendle about the difference between harmony and monotony. So Ali, if you could play the first music, please. What should you expect today? The major content is an 18-minute video by Gil Rendle, the author of the book Leading Change in the Congregation. And there'll be a longer period, hopefully, of actual engagement with each other about this and about some earlier thoughts I'm about to express. I need to tell you that to enable free engagement on your part, you don't need to worry. I'm able to make the commitment to you that the open part of our engagement will not be posted on the wider internet, although TUC will keep a copy for our own benefit. so you can feel free to identify and express yourself. The big question I'm really asking is, why might change on our part be needed? Well, it's mainly because we live in changing times, so that doing what we've always done in exactly the same way we've always done it is unlikely to be sustainable. Here's two questions whose answers I think will generate something of a paradigm shift in our thinking about change and the need for change. Here's the first question. How many of us here today would associate our first piece of music, Times They Are A-Changing, with the 1960s? I'd expected most of us to have identified it that way. But okay, it definitely was 60s. It was Bob Dylan, and he was really just trying to bring attention to the fact that there's change coming and you'd better get along with it. Here's another question, however. How many of us realise that the pace of change has not miraculously slowed down somehow since then, but has actually escalated? The point I'm trying to make, or trying to get at, is the paradigm shift. The paradigm shift is getting into our head a certain truth. The realisation that the world, and this actually shocked me when I came to it, the world we're living in now is actually even more different to that of the 1960s than they in their time were to that of the 1900s. I find that quite scary, because I reckon there was a huge shift between 1900s and 1960s, and I genuinely hadn't really been thinking it's changed that. So I'm going to repeat that, just that phraseology. The world we're living in now is even more different to that of the 1960s than they in their time were to the 1900s. I think it's possible that humankind might now prefer to engage in a different way from that of traditional creedal and denominational religion with the religious and spiritual side of being human. I think it's possible that they would like to engage in a much less divisive way with our own best selves, which is basically what we're doing when we engage with that part of being human. A less divisive way of engaging with our own best selves to become better, happier human beings. I think it's possible that this is our time. I'm actually inviting you today to look at what TUC might want to be, or what any Unitarian or any religious or spiritual community is going to have to do. I'm inviting you to engage with an ongoing process over the coming months and years to keep Glasgow Unitarian Church a relevant and safe community which enables spiritual growth, by getting better in touch with our own best selves, well into the 21st century, rather than risk it becoming an irrelevant and dying community. I'm not saying it is, I'm saying there's a risk that it becomes that. The important phrase I'm suggesting to you is ongoing process. I'm not talking about inviting you to a one-off event, although one-off events like surveys, questionnaires, vision days, they'll certainly be parts of this ongoing process, no question about that at all. I'm now about to move on to bringing that first video. It's an 18-minute video. After that, we go straight into the engagement, the open part of the session. I found two videos on YouTube by Gil Rendle which relate to that book, Leading Change in the Congregation. I'm bringing the first of these to you now. I personally found the book fascinating, the video fun. I found it frustrating. I was able to overcome the challenges I had with its showmanship, which is a very American thing, and the Methodist cultural background, which again isn't my background.